Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off today's session with our first slide, Mega Goal 1.2. Today we'll be exploring Unit 11, titled If It Hadn't Happened. We'll be focusing on listening and discussion activities that help us reflect on important moments. Over the next few minutes, I'll guide you through the key ideas and takeaways. So, let's get started and make this an engaging and meaningful experience. Let's take a moment to explore an interesting question. What is the difference between invention and discovery? These terms are often used interchangeably, but they actually refer to quite different concepts. An invention is something entirely new that someone creates, like a new device or a new process, something that didn't exist before. On the other hand, discovery is about finding something that already exists in nature or the universe, but was previously unknown to us. For example, discovering a new planet or a new element. Understanding this distinction helps us see how human progress unfolds, either by creating new ideas or uncovering existing truths. This idea ties into the overall theme of innovation and how we build upon what's already out there, whether through discovering new knowledge or inventing new solutions. Let's take a moment to reflect on some of the most influential inventions in history. Starting from the bottom of our list, we have the wheel. The wheel revolutionized transportation and machinery, serving as the foundation for countless innovations. Moving up, the airplane transformed how we connect across the globe, shrinking distances and making travel faster and more accessible. Then there's oil, which powered industries and shaped economies, fueling the technological advancements we rely on today. Next, the computer emerged as a game changer, enabling complex calculations, data processing, and eventually the digital age we live in now. Following that, electricity became the backbone of modern life, lighting our homes, powering industries, and enabling countless devices. And at the top of our list, we have penicillin, which revolutionized medicine by saving millions of lives and paving the way for antibiotics. These inventions illustrate how each breakthrough builds on the previous ones, driving progress forward. They remind us that innovation often comes in layers, each one essential to the next, and they highlight the importance of creative problem-solving in shaping our world. Now let's take a closer look at this slide. First, you see the numbers from 6 down to 1. These represent the 6 pictures we have. The question here is, how many pictures are there? And of course, the answer is 6. Next, we have 6 subtitles listed. So we ask ourselves again, how many subtitles are there? The answer, of course, is also 6. Moving on, we see the section titled Looking Back. This prompts us to think about the overall passage we've been discussing. What is the title of that passage? Remember, the title helps us understand the main idea or theme of the content. This slide is designed to reinforce counting and comprehension skills, connecting visual elements like pictures and subtitles to the overall message. It encourages us to reflect on how everything fits together, which is essential for understanding the bigger picture in any story or passage. Let's move on to scanning and skimming, 2 important strategies for effective reading. Now, focusing on the Sumerians, one of the earliest civilizations known for many inventions. Who invented the wheels? That's a great question. The invention of the wheel is often attributed to them, but it's interesting to consider whether it was truly an invention or perhaps a discovery. When we talk about the wheel, what immediately comes to mind? Think about the picture on the slide. What do you see? This image shows an early wheel, highlighting how this simple yet revolutionary invention transformed transportation and trade. Understanding the origin of the wheel helps us see how human innovation has shaped our history. Remember, whether it's an invention or discovery, these developments are crucial to our progress and understanding of the past. So let's consider the Mayans and Incans for a moment. Despite their impressive architectural achievements, especially their use of circular designs, they didn't actually incorporate circular elements extensively into their overall civilization or infrastructure. It's interesting because circular structures can be quite efficient and symbolically meaningful, yet they chose different architectural and societal patterns. This highlights how cultural and environmental factors influence design choices. What works for one civilization might not be as relevant for another. Now, shifting gears to the Sumerians, the creators of some of the earliest advanced civilizations. What if they hadn't invented the wheel? Imagine how different history would be. The wheel was fundamental for transportation, trade, and machinery. Without it, progress in mobility and agriculture could have been severely hampered, possibly delaying technological development by centuries. It's a reminder of how one invention can ripple across history, shaping everything from commerce to warfare. Connecting this to our overall theme, it's clear that innovation isn't just about having the resources, but also about making specific choices that align with a civilization's needs and environment. Understanding what they used, or chose not to use, helps us appreciate the complexity of their development and the significance of groundbreaking inventions like the wheel. Let's take a moment to practice scanning and skimming. These are valuable reading techniques that help us find information quickly. Now, moving on to our next topic, the Wright brothers. Who invented the first successful airplane? That's right, the Wright brothers are credited with that achievement. But it's interesting to think, was it an invention or a discovery? What do you think? An invention is something created, while a discovery is about uncovering something that already exists. In this case, they invented something new, the airplane. Now let's look at this picture of an airplane. What can you see here? Notice the wings, the fuselage, the engines. These are all parts that make flight possible. This image helps us visualize the incredible progress humans have made in transportation. As we explore these ideas, remember how curiosity and innovation drive discoveries that shape our world. Imagine for a moment what the world might look like if the Wright brothers hadn't invented the first airplane. How different would everything be? Transportation, communication, even global connectivity. All of these would have taken much longer to develop. Their invention really kick-started the age of flight, opening up endless possibilities for innovation and progress. Now, to answer the specific question, when was the Wright brothers' first flight? It was on December 17, 1903, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. That moment marked a huge milestone in human history, proving that powered, controlled flight was possible. This first flight was just the beginning. It set the stage for rapid advancements in aviation technology and transformed how we connect across distances. As we explore the evolution of flight today, remember how pivotal that initial leap was. It's what made all of our modern travel and global community possible. Let's take a closer look at scanning and skimming techniques. Here, we're in Oil Springs, Ontario, Canada, which is significant in the history of oil. Can anyone guess where the first commercial oil drill in North America was located? That's right, it was in Oil Springs. This site marks a major discovery, not just an invention, because it was the first time we found a way to extract oil commercially. Now, when we think about this discovery, it really changed the course of energy history. It wasn't just about creating new tools or machines. It was about uncovering a resource that would power industries and societies. Looking at the picture on the slide, what do you see? Yes, it shows an early oil drilling setup, probably very different from what we see today, but it's a symbol of that groundbreaking discovery. So, when we talk about discovery here, we mean finding something valuable that was previously unknown or untapped. And that moment in Oil Springs really set the stage for the entire oil industry in North America. Understanding these roots helps us appreciate how far technology and exploration have come, and how crucial discovery has been to our energy development. So let's talk about the very first commercial oil well drill. It was actually drilled in Titusville, Pennsylvania, back in 1859 by Edwin Drake. This moment is really considered the birth of the modern oil industry. Imagine, before this, people relied on surface seeps or other sources, but this was the first time we tapped into a significant underground reservoir on purpose. Now, think about what would have happened if we hadn't discovered these large sources of oil. Our entire energy landscape would look very different. We might still be relying on less efficient and more labor-intensive methods of energy production. The discovery of abundant oil sources sparked a revolution, not just in energy, but in transportation, manufacturing, and even everyday life. Connecting this to the bigger picture, understanding where and when we found these resources helps us appreciate how crucial oil has been to shaping modern society. It's a reminder of how a single discovery can have ripple effects that influence economies, technological progress, and our way of living. Let's take a moment to look at this picture. What do you see here? This image is quite iconic. It represents a significant milestone in computing history. It was introduced by IBM back in 1981, marking the beginning of the personal computer era. Now, can anyone tell me, when was the first personal computer actually introduced? Yes, that's right. It was around that same time in the early 80s. This invention truly revolutionized the way we work and communicate. But here's a key question. Do we call this a discovery or an invention? It's definitely an invention, a new creation that changed everything. And speaking of inventions, it's important to realize that computers are inventions, products of human ingenuity, rather than discoveries of something that already existed in nature. This distinction helps us understand how technological progress is driven by innovation and creativity. So, as we continue exploring the history and development of computers, keep in mind how these inventions have shaped our modern world and continue to influence our future. So, when was the first personal computer actually introduced? Well, the late 1970s marked the dawn of the PC era, with devices like the Altair 8800 and the Apple I making their debut. These machines started to change how we interact with technology on a daily basis. Now, think about what happened if people didn't have computers. Life and work would look very different, less efficiency, more manual processes, and certainly fewer opportunities for innovation. Without computers, many of the advancements we rely on today, from communication to data analysis, simply wouldn't exist. This highlights just how transformative the advent of the PC has been, reinforcing the overall theme of technological progress shaping our modern world. Let's take a moment to talk about scanning and skimming. These are important reading strategies that help us quickly find information. Now, moving on to Thomas Edison, he's famously associated with developing the first practical electric light bulb. But here's a good question. Was that an invention or a discovery? When we say discovery, we're talking about finding something that already exists, like electricity. Edison didn't invent electricity. He harnessed and improved it to create a useful device. This brings us to an interesting point. What exactly is the difference between discovery and invention? And speaking of electricity, what does this paragraph really tell us? It highlights how discoveries, like electricity, often lead to inventions that change the way we live. Understanding this connection is key to appreciating how innovations happen. So, as we continue, keep in mind that many breakthroughs start with discoveries, which then pave the way for inventions that shape our world. When was the first incandescent electric light bulb invented? Well, that was back in 1879, thanks to Thomas Edison. It's incredible to think how that invention truly transformed our daily lives, bringing light to homes and cities around the world. Now, imagine what would have happened if electricity hadn't been discovered at all. We might still be relying on gas lamps or candles, and many of the modern conveniences we take for granted today simply wouldn't exist. This highlights how pivotal discoveries like electricity are in shaping our progress and development. Throughout this presentation, we see that innovations in electrical technology have been fundamental in advancing society, and understanding their origins helps us appreciate how far we've come. Let's take a closer look at scanning and skimming. These are two important reading strategies that help us process information more efficiently. Now, moving to the name Dr. Alexander Fleming, he's a key figure in the history of medicine. Can anyone guess who discovered penicillin? That's right, Fleming discovered it. But this raises an interesting question. Was this an invention or a discovery? It's a discovery because Fleming found something that already existed in nature. Penicillin is a natural antibiotic, not something humans created from scratch. Now, looking at this paragraph, what do you think it's about? Essentially, it's highlighting how important discoveries like penicillin are. They change the way we approach health and medicine. And understanding whether a breakthrough is a discovery or an invention helps us appreciate the scientific process behind it. So, In the broader context of our presentation, recognizing these distinctions is vital because it shows how natural phenomena can lead to revolutionary advancements. So, when did Dr. Alexander Fleming actually discover penicillin? Well, it was back in 1928, quite a pivotal moment in medical history. Fleming was working in his lab when he noticed something unusual. A mold had contaminated one of his Petri dishes, and it was killing the bacteria around it. That serendipitous observation led to the development of penicillin, which revolutionized medicine. Now, imagine if Fleming hadn't made that discovery. The impact on human health would have been enormous. Bacterial infections that are now easily cured could have remained deadly, causing countless unnecessary deaths. This discovery paved the way for antibiotics, transforming how we treat infections and saving millions of lives. So this highlights just how crucial scientific curiosity and observation are, especially within the broader theme of advancing health and medicine. Without Fleming's breakthrough, who knows how much longer we would have struggled with infectious diseases. Let's take a moment to really look at this picture. What do you see? What kind of story do you think it's telling? Now, think about what this person might regret. Could it be something they did or didn't do? Or maybe a choice they made? As we analyze this image, try to connect it to the bigger themes we've been discussing, like the importance of decision-making and the impact of our actions. This slide encourages us to reflect on our own lives and consider how our past choices shape our present. So, as you look at the picture, think about what messages it conveys and how regret might play a role in personal growth. All right, now let's take a look at the vocabulary answers for this activity. We have a matching exercise where you need to connect the first half of a word with its second half. On the screen, you'll see the options labeled from A to E. What we're doing here is matching these halves correctly to form complete words. It's a great way to reinforce your understanding of vocabulary and word structure. Remember, the key is to think about how these halves naturally come together to make meaningful words. This activity ties back to our overall theme of building a strong vocabulary, which is essential for effective communication. So, take your time and see if you can match each half correctly. If you're unsure, you can always revisit the context or think about common word patterns. Let's go through the options and see how they fit together. Now, on this slide, we see a series of pictures paired with words: oil well, heavy load, security guard, hairstyle, and electric bulb. These images are meant to help us understand how visual cues can match with specific expressions or concepts. Let's start with the oil well. It represents natural resources or sources of energy, which are often linked to production and industry. Next, the heavy load can symbolize burden or responsibility, things that weigh us down or require effort to carry. The security guard suggests safety, protection, or vigilance, emphasizing the importance of security in various settings. The hairstyle points to appearance, personal grooming, or identity, which can be significant in social or professional contexts. Lastly, the electric bulb symbolizes ideas, innovation, or enlightenment, moments of insight or new thinking. Now, the key task here is to match these images with the correct expressions. Think about how each picture relates to the words or phrases we use in conversation or in describing situations. For example, an oil well might be associated with terms like resource extraction or industrial development. A heavy load could be linked to expressions like carrying a burden or feeling overwhelmed. A security guard can be connected with phrases such as keeping watch or ensuring safety. The hairstyle might relate to expressions like making a good impression or personal style. And an electric bulb often corresponds to a bright idea or a moment of inspiration. Overall, this activity highlights how visual symbols can be paired with language to enhance understanding and communication. It's a useful reminder that images and words together can make our messages clearer and more impactful, especially in presentations or teaching scenarios. Let's take a quick moment to do a quick check. Looking at these statements, we see a mix of true and false. The first statement is true, which is often the case, but then we have a false statement that might catch some off guard. The key here is understanding how to evaluate each claim critically. Remember, the goal isn't just to memorize facts, but to really grasp the underlying principles. This quick check helps reinforce our understanding and ensures we're on the right track. Keep these points in mind as we move forward, connecting them to the bigger picture of the presentation. These are some inspiring examples of Muslim scientists from the Islamic Golden Age. Throughout history, they made incredible contributions to fields like mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and chemistry. Their innovations and discoveries laid the foundation for many modern sciences we rely on today. We should feel proud of their achievements and see them as role models for the new generation. These scientists exemplify how knowledge, curiosity, and dedication can lead to great progress. By remembering their contributions, we can inspire young minds to pursue science and innovation with passion and integrity. Ultimately, they remind us of the rich intellectual heritage of the Islamic world and its vital role in shaping human civilization.